Hi, this is just a little walkthrough of how the StackTach worker operates, and this is part of the proposal for replacing the Ceilometer agent with a similar framework so that we can get rid of the complicated deploy model that's currently used. There's no need for this doesn't do anything to an existing Nova installation. There's no special notification drivers other than plain vanilla out of the box, and it will work in a multi-cell environment. It's small, easy to understand, and it does all of the main information that gets all the main information that we need. I'll just show you how it works. There's a if you grab the StackTach repo from GitHub in the Rackspace project or the Rackspace account. Anyway, there's a StackTach repo in there, and in that there's a directory StackTach workers, which has this file start workers in it. And this is a thing that spawns a particular worker for every cell that you've got in your deployment, or every data center or whatever if you're not using cells. It's pretty simple. This is just a little tiny file that looks for a configuration file, by default called StackTach worker config. If you have any local settings, it will import those, and then it will actually start. So the first thing it does is it loads that configuration file, and it creates a deployment record in the StackTach database for every deployment that's defined if it doesn't already exist. And then it spawns a process which will go off to worker.run for every deployment. So if I've got 5 cells, I'll get 5 processes that are running, one for each cell. And then there's just some normal signal handling, and that just fires it off. That gets everything started. So then we get into the worker, and this is the worker.run that we just saw. And it pulls out all the necessary config information that it wanted. And it's just a rabbit connection. So it uses Kombu directly. It doesn't use any of the OpenStack RPC layer. We could change that down the road once we fix up the RPC layer to better support notifications or properly support them. And so it makes a connection to the rabbit queue. And this is where it says, okay, do I have this deployment already? If not, then go create it, starts it. We're doing our own logging here. Of course, we could change that to use the OpenStack Oslo logging mechanism. Same thing with the config information. We can use Oslo for that as well. This was just done for simplicity. And then we just start going here. We create a connection with Kombu. We have a consumer for it, and then we run the consumer. And that's basically all this process does. But when an event comes in, this is what the Nova consumer does. And on initialization, it connects to an exchange, and it has a bunch of queues that it's going to monitor. So it monitors not just the .info queue, but also the .error queue. Most people, when they deploy OpenStack, will call their main queue notifications, but you can call them whatever you like, and you can have multiple queues that notifications can go on. So in this case, it assumes another queue called monitor. So that infers monitor.info and monitor.error. So it creates those queues, and when something comes in on Nova, will get called. And this is just a simple try-catch block around it. And you can see here that I'm even doing the acknowledging correctly here. I shouldn't acknowledge the exception unless I successfully processed the message, because we don't want to lose anything, so that should really get moved up. But the thing about it is that it's easy to do here without any big implications. And we're going to skip this memory check thing, and we're going to get up to processes where it actually does the stuff. And it just pulls out some information from it. It says, here's the routing key, so we know what type of message we got. Pulls out the JSON payload, and then it goes off to the StackTach view, which directly inserts that information into the StackTach database. Now, of course, this part here we would change to be a call to Ceilometer to actually inject the data properly into Ceilometer the same way everyone else does it. this part here is just a memory check because this is a daemon that's running, and we want to make sure that it's not growing or anything. So we want to make sure that there's no little nasties in there. We don't have to keep this. This was something that was done when we were working with Django, but that can get removed. So you can see this is a dead simple little agent, and it's effectively worked for us in pulling data out of a large OpenStack deployment, and this is what I'd like to introduce back into Ceilometer, something dead simple, and can just pull out the notifications, and we can stuff them right into Ceilometer. A lot of the actual construction of the meter code and all that sort of stuff will probably be the same. We'll just have to repurpose it into here. And I think that's pretty well everything. Oh, let me give you a little example of what the config file looks like. So these are what the deployments look like. So this is just a JSON file that says, here's the name of our cell that we want to talk to, our data center we want to talk to, and here's the rabbit information that we want to send to it. So we can point to this file actually just using the standard Nova config information. And that's it. Thanks.